like it's like the bacteria and antibodies in a human body. It's something that like an immune system. It has to continue all the time for it to work, right? We need to have a permanent kind of resistance, if you will.
Well, this is the whole situation with the true balance of power in the world. If you think about it, governments use money to impose this agenda on the people, which is money that the people have given to the government in taxation. So, in effect, the government's side of things, the side that wishes to impose this Orwellian state, has limitless funds because the people it's enslaving are funding it.
That's right.
Whereas groups and people who wish to challenge the government they fund have to fund themselves as well as funding the government they're challenging. And so you've got, with those who are challenging this, you have groups of people who meet in front rooms or meet in small halls, whereas the government has the whole edifice of government-paid administrators to daily work to push this thing forward. So the game is rigged in a most enormous way. And if we're going to try to go through official means to challenge these things, we're wasting our time, frankly, because as you indicate, you can win a few battles here and there, as with GM food, but they'll just wait and then come back with this whole administrative army to push it through, manipulation of the media and all the rest of it, while the people then have to regroup and go through again all the things they've already been through, and eventually they get worn out, and eventually they get washed over by this tidal wave. That's if we do it by doing it the conventional way. We have to do it the unconventional way. The number of people who are knowingly in awareness that they are manipulating to this end in the world is tiny, tiny, compared with the 6 billion plus people on the planet, or what we're told are on the planet. So there's two things we need to do, and if we do them, and we do them with passion, and we don't take no for an answer, then this control can come down. And those two things are the communication of information at every opportunity to explain what's really going on and how the dots connect, to overcome the propaganda through the mainstream media, propaganda that is perpetrated overwhelmingly by the vast majority of journalists who themselves are clueless about what's going on and how the pieces fit. And the other thing is this Gandhian mass non-cooperation with the system. Give it on a real simple level. We've had people here who've been fined hundreds of pounds for putting their wheelie bin out with their rubbish in from their home for the collectors on the wrong day. If that happened, and then every week from then on, thousands and thousands and thousands of people across the UK all put their wheelie bin out on the wrong day and kept doing it until the law failed.
Right.
If when we have microchipped wheelie bins, which were coming in this country, everyone or vast numbers took the microchip out of the wheelie bin and put it in the post back to the council, then it would have to change. That's right. The level at which we have to meet this, because if we go through the normal official channels, we're wasting our time, wasting our effort, and wasting our energy.
Yeah, that's definitely right, and I think that's a kind of a great way to go about it in a way. That means that there need to be, of course, a kind of a consensus or a backdrop to all of this, where people kind of unite around these certain issues, and as you say, rightly so, that this has nothing to do with race or age or anything like that. This is more like, okay, do we need this? Do we want this? Is this necessary? And if not, then unite in that area during around that topic, if you will, or around that scenario. And change it, and it's very easy when you actually think of it this way, because again, as you say, the administration that it would take to actually handle an event like this, they would crash, if not financially, if everyone were taking out the microchips on these things that we're sending them back, right?
Yeah, I mean, the that is holding back the end of all this nonsense is divide and rule. That people will not unite behind a common theme, a common theme of freedom for all, because freedom doesn't come in bits. You know, either everyone's free or we don't have freedom. If someone has a right to say what their opinion is and another person does not have the right, then there is no freedom, because the person who thinks they have the right to give their opinion does not have the right. They have the right to give their opinion because it suits those that decide what opinions are allowed and what opinions are not allowed. That's not freedom.
Yeah.
And so it's respecting everyone's right to the rights that we demand for ourselves, and being as passionate about the right to freedom of expression, for instance, of those that we don't agree with, or those that abuse us even, than as we are for the right of our own freedom of expression. That's the attitude that will bring this down. Because once you say, oh, well, it's not my problem because I'm being allowed to give my opinion, and I don't agree with that person anyway, so it don't really matter if they're stopped from speaking. That's, again, leading down the road to that famous quote by the pastor in Germany. First they came for the Jews, and I was not a Jew, so I did nothing. Then they came for the communists, and I was not a communist, so I did nothing. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I was not a trade unionist, so I did nothing. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. This is the way that dictators, and we're looking at a global dictatorship now, pick off different groups by focusing on them and getting to a situation where other people are not at that moment affected. So people, in effect, like the biblical story of the Good Samaritan, they walk on the other side of the road and think, not my problem, mate. But eventually it becomes your problem, and by that time, there's no one left to speak out for you. And this is what's happening all the time. Okay, you can focus on Muslim people, you can focus on all different groups, and oh no, I don't like them anyway. But eventually, your door knocks, and then you realize what the game has been all along. But by then, it's too late.
Indeed, and in many cases, also, I think it's kind of worth pointing out that if organizations become too big, they're in a way too easily kind of infiltrated. That there are certain other issues that comes to the surface if an organization grows too large. That's why I think it's important to kind of maintain your individuality, kind of keep strong in who you are and what you believe in, but learn to work together with other people around a certain issue. And when that is won, drop it, move on, and take the next one. That's how I see that. That's kind of a good approach to how to beat these certain areas that we don't want to see, in within a country, within a state, or within our lives,
Well, you have to hold your individuality, otherwise you just become a cell in an organization or a belief system or whatever, and like you say, they're not only easily infiltrated, they can be brought into internal conflict, and agents provocateurs can cause mayhem in organizations where people as a whole are giving their power to some leadership or some group of people who are in control of that organization.
Yeah.
So what we need is not more and more organizations to meet this challenge. We need organization.
Yeah.
The coordination of non-violent non-cooperation with the system, and that means you hold your individuality, but you give your you give yourself to the issue that, like you say, that we're dealing with at the moment. But it doesn't mean that you have to give yourself away to an organization and let it tell you what to think and let it tell you what to do.
Yeah.
It's just about cooperation between individual people to a common end for a common reason, and you don't need a great big organization to coordinate people to, for instance, not put their or to put their wheelie bin out on the wrong day, or to take a microchip out of a wheelie bin and put it in the post to the council. I mean, all people need to know is this is what's going to happen en masse, and people choose whether to join that or not.
Yeah.
Organizations. It takes organization, and we can bring this down if we cease to cooperate with it, because that's what we're doing. We're cooperating with the building of our own prison all the time.
Yeah.
There are people throughout governments, throughout the world, who have children and grandchildren who are going to live in this fascist global state for most of their lives. If they knew that every day they were making a contribution to that very state that's going to control their children's lives, they would be aghast and horrified. So information about what's going on and how it fits, along with a non-cooperation of non-violence, but non-cooperation with those things that are designed to enslave us, will bring this thing crashing down, because it's a house of cards. It's not some great edifice of unchallengeable power. The only power it has, in effect, is the power we give to it every day. And it can come down so fast once we reach a certain critical mass of awakening, awareness, and therefore response. And we're getting closer, but we need to move quick, because this thing's moving on real fast because of this process of the more you centralize power, the more power you have to centralize quicker.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think it's important to stand up for what everyone for themselves believe is right. And in a way, don't wait for everyone else to follow along with you in that regard, or just operate on what you believe is right within your, moral code, or whatever you want to call it. And I think that ideas kind of spread and follow along, and inspiration, if you will, helps to flow through spirit, if you will, in a wonderful way. And if someone would do something like that you mentioned before, David, like take off the microchip of the bin and send it back or whatever, and someone read about it, I think that more and more people would do it, that begins to notice that. And if they consequently were, arrested because of that, I think that thing would actually flow from there, and more people would actually do it. So in many cases, it takes that initial, I don't like the word sacrifice, but it takes that kind of initial, action in order to get a response in a way, if you follow me.
Yeah, well, so some people have done these things, but if it's not done in some kind of unity, it doesn't mean everybody, but some kind of substantial unity, they can pick people off as individuals. And again, people are wonderful at saying, yeah, mate, I support you, yeah, go and do it, oh, yeah, oh, no, oh, God, he's in trouble now, oh, God, no, I don't know him, do you know him? I've never met him, have you?
Right.
This attitude.
Right.
And also it's apathy. Oh, someone else will do it. Well, actually, we're nowhere near at the moment close enough to a point where enough someone else's are doing it. So it might as well be you, because if it ain't you, it's got to be someone, because very soon we're going to pass the point of no return, because the whole process of this unfolding agenda is to shut the cell door before enough people have realized they're even in a cell. This is why they're pushing on so fast with their plans for microchipping, DNA databases, and all these things, surveillance cameras, surveillance of data of various kinds. It's to create a situation where it becomes more and more difficult for, if you like, dissidents to challenge the system. This is where political correctness is coming in. Stop people having the right to express their view. It's nothing to do with protecting minorities. It's playing minorities off against each other and stopping people having the right to express an opinion. It's part of this whole process of building the prison cell, while people don't realize they're actually